Good afternoon, folks. Hope you're well out there. It is still springtime in central Ontario, Canada, so the bugs are still out, but I'm going to hide out from them a little bit today inside the cab where all the work will be done in behind it. Now this right here is the landscape rake. If you haven't seen this before, I'll put a playlist at the end with some more videos of this in action. This is 7 feet wide. This has two options on it that don't come on every model unless you request it. One are these things, gauge wheels. Basically what these control is how deep these tines will dig in. And so I've got these set up right now so the tines are just touching the surface, making for a nice even grade. You'll also notice over here I have a hydraulic cylinder. The hydraulic cylinder hooks up to the rear remotes of my tractor, and that allows me to manipulate the angle of the rake from inside the cab. Now if you don't have that option with the hydraulic cylinder, that's no problem, but what you will have down here, you'd have a pin that goes through here, and it can align with 5 holes. That allows for that angle adjustment. Now in this case, I've only got it going forward, meaning when I'm driving, it's going to be doing the work. But you can actually take this landscape rake and rotate it 180 degrees, and that will allow you to use these holes. There's 5 of those as well. So if you wanted to push material with the tines facing this way, as opposed to the way they are facing, that's an option. Now in my case, in order for that to happen, I'd have to disconnect the hydraulic cylinder. I'd also have to take these wheels off, but that'll be for another day. Now if we talk about my tractor here, my tractor is 6 feet wide outside to outside of the wheels, and this landscape rake is 7 feet. The reason I like the 7 foot wide is when I have it angled, it's still going to pretty much cover the track width of my tractor. I'm not going to miss any of the trail debris. Whereas if I went with a 6 foot wide unit, it would work when it's 90 degrees to the tractor or perpendicular, but as soon as I angle it, I'm likely going to miss a little bit of the track width of the tractor. It'll be a little bit narrower than that 6 feet. That's why I like the 7 feet. So let's get down to work here. I've got a bunch of trails here on the property, and some are in better shape than others. Some have ruts, some have sticks, some have all kinds of stuff, debris, duff, and all the rest of it. We're going to take care of that here today. You'll see exactly why I like this thing so much. Because trust me, I'm not working hard when I'm inside driving along. I'm listening to the radio, I've got the air conditioning going, and 9 times out of 10, I've got a hot sludge on the go. So life is good when I'm towing this thing around. Anyways, welcome back. Here we go. after a second pass, I'd say the trails are going to be looking as good as this one. I went down, turned around, and came back. I got all the big debris on the first pass. I smoothed it out on the second pass, and I'd say that's quite nice. Now, my trails are quite extensive here. I've got a lot of work ahead of me. But one thing's for certain, when I'm inside the cab and listening into the tunes and the air conditioning's on a day like today and the bugs are bouncing off the window, I don't feel that bad about not being outside slugging along. I don't mind taking it easy once in a while. That's the landscape rake. If you have any questions at all about how that thing operates, be sure to let me know down below in the comments. You probably have seen me out here on an ATV before using a drag harrow. That works very good as well, but I find the weight of this thing, the landscape rake, really allows it to pick up material and move it off the trail. The harrow, as you've seen before, it tends to ride up and over when it gets a big collection of debris like leaves and pine needles. This thing, however, it'll just drag that pile as far as you drive. As you can see, it just gets bigger and bigger. It never does rise up over it because of the weight. And so I like that feature about the landscape rake. I can more or less just manipulate it, put the pile where I need it. And as you've seen before, I use the grapple on the front to move it out of the way. And I'm sure some people out there will ask me, well, why aren't you using the grapple on the front of your tractor, on the front end loader, to do all this work? The truth is the grapple will tend to dig into the ground even when I have it on float. No matter what you're going to do, eventually you'll hit a spot like a root. That thing will dig itself deep and you'll be in a world of hurt. I've had it before where I didn't expect for the loader to stop. When it does, you can bend things in a hurry, so I would much prefer to drag something like this, where these tines here, if I hit something and it's solid, that tine will bend out of the way, and if it doesn't bend far enough, it'll certainly jump up and over it because that's spring steel at the back. At the front, however, if I hit something solid, it'll dig in. That tractor comes to a stop, and likely the thing that's going to give and break will be something expensive. The loader itself, I'd hate to twist that thing. So that's going to do it for me here today. As I said before, if you have any questions or comments, put it down below. Maybe you've got experience with one of these and you want to give me a few tidbits of advice. I don't mind. I appreciate it. In fact, be sure to put that down below as well. One thing I have been thinking about quite hard lately is a hydraulic top link. I think in a situation like this, that would be very useful. Allows me to adjust that angle of attack of the tines instead of having to get in and out of the tractor. Although I typically just set it once and go with it. I'm sure if I had a little bit more adjustability, a little easier, I probably would get even a better result. Anyways, that's it. That's all. See you next time.